Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today's video is another one of my compilation videos. This is of Jodi Arias from back in 2013. So this is basically 12 years ago when I made these videos. I don't really use my voice at all or anything like that, but I made all of these videos, and I'm just going to put them out there for you guys to watch. And if you want to help support the channel during this video by buying me a coffee or super chats or whatever you can do, that would be absolutely fantastic. And if you can't, hit that like button for me. I would really appreciate it. All right, so let's get started on the old Jodi Arias videos right now.
Right here, did that have the appearance of blood to you?
Yes, it did.
Now, we've been talking about all these patterns and cast off and speeds and that sort of thing, active versus passive. First thing we sort of see is this right here. If that were blood, what would that tell us?
That there's a large enough volume that it is flowing down, that gravity is acting upon it.
And do we know how that got there? Because we've talked about something hitting something and then flying on there. Is there anything that we know about this one other than that gravity acted upon it?
No.
Exhibit number 84, and I want to direct you to this area here. Do you see that there?
Yes, I do.
And closer view, exhibit 86, the area there. Exhibit 87, that's a close-up of that area. And then exhibit 88, which is the toilet. Do you know where this toilet was?
Yes.
And exhibit 89. Are we still looking at the toilet?
Yes. The stains that I see on the toilet and the bottom of this door jamb are from an impact. There is an impact to the blood source of some sort that then causes the blood droplets to fly through the air and be deposited upon that surface.
By looking at those, can you tell us the distance of the source to that location?
I can't define specifically, but I can tell you because they are small blood droplets at the bottom, those don't travel very far due to the effect of wind resistance upon them, air resistance. So they're not going to travel very far. So the blood source was in proximity too.
And any idea how far, or is it in proximity?
In proximity, close proximity.
Where was can you tell us anything about the blood source, its positioning as in terms of high up, middle, ceiling, floor? What can you tell us about that?
Those stains are all from about 12 inches and down, and the stains that I was looking at are all round, which means that the blood source was actually low, and those blood stains simply flew to the side and impacted the wall at a 90-degree angle, and they made it essentially circular drops.
So what I understand you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, the source was low, source was not too far away because of the smaller droplets there, and there was impact to the blood source.
That's correct.
Well, let's look at the toilet that's back there. Toilet in number 90. What do we see here?
We see the same type of stains, fairly round, on a rounded surface like the side of the toilet. They can round, even though they might hit at a 90-degree angle, those can sometimes look a little bit more elliptical just because of the surface of the curved toilet. But those are essentially the small stains that I was talking about at the other, on the door jamb, and at the same height, they are below 12 inches.
Looking at these and the ones on the toilet, exhibit 87, spatially speaking, they're in different areas, correct?
Correct.
Does that tell you anything about the number of strikes to the blood source, or does it not?
Because the way that these are lined up and you can see in the photograph, I can't rule that out as having been from the same event. It could be from more than one event, but it's at least, I can't rule out that it was simply one.
When you say event, are we talking about strikes?
One strike to that blood source.
Let's take a look at exhibit number 84. Do you see this floor mat here? Do you see the floor mat
Yes,
there?
I do.
With regard to that floor mat, did you conduct any tests?
I did examine that mat back in the laboratory.
And exactly what did you do to examine that floor mat?
I did my Kastle-Meyer preliminary test for the presence of blood, and I noted the presence of blood all over the bottom of that mat, in addition to the stain that's on top. The top is all bamboo strips, and that's what the blood on top of the mat was laying on top of. The bottom has a felt type middle, and then a fabric edge, and it's not the kind that the blood would not have traveled from that one drop through the bottom. It's more consistent with that mat having been moved either over blood stains that were already there, or there had been water in the scene, and that water mixed with the blood could have traveled under and deposited.
Taking a look at this item there, along with the one that's here around the corner, what are we looking at there?
That is a large accumulation of blood.
And how was that blood left there? How did the source leave the blood there?
One of the likelier options is that a blood source was in one position, allowing it to drip down and collect in that area. The other being, I can't account for all of the situations with water, how water would, and this tile would pull it together, but I can't totally dismiss that some of the water activity deposited it there, though it seems more likely due to the size of it that it was deposited from a blood source.
Exhibit 91. What do we have here?
We have more blood stains on, this is the eastern wall of the exterior of the toilet room.
And let's talk about these right here.
Those that, on this wall, I observed blood stains that were traveling in a downward or downward and towards the south, which is the window.
And in terms of how they were deposited there, do you have an opinion as how those were?
An impact to a blood source.
Okay, exhibit number 94. We talked about the wall in exhibit number 91, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And how about down here on the ground? What kind of drops are those?
Those are blood stains that I wouldn't offer an opinion whether those could be passive or be ones that hit the ground from the impact on that west wall.
Exhibit number 95. And what are we looking at here in terms of the scale?
We're looking at a scale that is on the south end of the bathroom that has blood stains on top of and underneath the scale. It is on the floor. The stain is on the floor itself.
Okay, so if the scale is on top of it, what does it tell you about the stain that's there?
That the scale was moved into the position above the blood stain.
And do we have any issues about water with regard to this one or not?
No.
Exhibit number 96. Okay, right up against the wall here, do we see?
There are blood droplets.
And did you have occasion to look inside the wastebasket?
I did.
And what did you find in the wastebasket?
There was a paper towel and 2 empty toilet paper tubes, type cardboard rings.
Did they have anything or any indication of blood or anything that looked like blood in that tub, in that wastebasket?
I examined the toilet paper tubes back in the laboratory, and my indications with my test were that there was blood detected.
Just to orient ourselves, exhibit number 93. This is the scale we've been talking about, and the trash can is right here, correct?
That's correct.
And then we have the sink area, right?
Yes.
Exhibit number 98. What are we looking at here?
There's 2 sinks in the bathroom. This is the one to the north.
Coloration of that seems to be a little bit different than the one inside the bowl.
I would.
And what would cause something like that?
It appears diluted as if it would be with water.
Exhibit number 100, as it applies to that, what are we looking at here?
The blood is dripping down the side of the ledge of the counter. Those diluted patterns, I would say, are evidence of transfer between a blood-bearing source and a non-blood-bearing source, depending.
If we look to the left of that, do you see this right here?
Those are what we were previously discussing as passive drops that are simply being acted upon by gravity.
Let's look at Exhibit 105. Are those the ones we're talking about?
Yes.
And then a larger view of it, or 102. You see that?
Yes. The blood source was above this location, above the sink,
All right.
but in some sort of motion over the sink.
At some point, there was some motion by the blood source over the sinks, and that's what that tells you, right?
Correct.
And it also tells you that, I guess it was over the top of the sink.
Over the top.
Is this partly a function of gravity?
Yes. The source is above the sink, and some of those you can see are specific droplets. Some of them, because of the curvature of the sink, are merging together.
But the source of the blood is...
Above the sink.
Do these also imply movement like those that are down here, or do they not?
Well, since they're in several different locations, it would imply that the blood source is moving a bit, yes.
Exhibit number 98. See this area right over here near the mirror?
I do.
Was there any blood spatter or any blood on the mirror?
There was. It's very difficult to see when we get to those shots because of the mirror, but there was. When I was talking earlier about the categories, I discussed the projected blood, that is that a force or a pressure acts upon to eject a volume of blood. This would be categorized in that category and could be a number of different mechanisms.
Where was the blood? I understand that perhaps because of the flash we're not really able to see it, but if you could tell us where it would be or show us on the monitor there. And this right here, this event underneath it right there, is that the same kind of spatter?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not this spatter here was caused by the same event that caused the spatter?
It would be consistent with being from the same event.
And if we take a look at exhibit number 101, are we then looking at this spatter? And again, my question is, how come some are dripping and some aren't?
Because when blood is acted upon with force, that not all, the blood droplets don't all break into the same size. And so some are going to be larger. And so some, when they hit that, have more of a weight or a volume, and therefore they drip down from the gravity because they're a larger stain.
What can cause this kind of spatter pattern?
I earlier discussed the expirated, which was somebody maybe coughing or sneezing if they have blood in their airways, or from a wound, air forcing that out. The head is a very vascular area, and I don't know if you've ever nicked yourself shaving, then you know that those can bleed quite a bit. And a wound or a laceration to the head could cause the misting and the patterns that we see here, the size staining that we see here.
And what else? Anything else?
Gunshot wounds can produce that type of misting effect as well.
Exhibit number 114 shows us what? What are we looking at there?
There is a casing laying in a blood stain. The blood stain was there, and the casing came and landed upon that. It would tell us the blood was already present, so the blood source was already bleeding prior to the gunshot.
So, I don't know about the sweet person, but what does it tell you in terms of this? Was the blood source already bleeding at the time that this casing somehow found its way into that blood?
Yes.
Casing, in terms of when it was it placed in relation to the blood? When was that casing placed there in relation to the blood?
After the blood was deposited there.
So the blood source was already bleeding?
Yes.
So based on that, and based on, you indicated that you read the medical examiner's report?
Yes,
correct?
I did.
And having read the medical examiner's report, having taken a look at that, what is your opinion then as to the source in exhibit number 101, or the mechanism as to how that pattern there was formed?
Then I would say that it would be either the expirated, the coughing, or a laceration to the head, one of those mechanisms.
But not the gunshot?
Not the gunshot.
Let's take a look at exhibit number 116. Are you familiar with that area?
Yes, this is the linen closet to the north of the sink area.
And Exhibit 117, what are we looking at there?
It's an accumulation of blood at the edge of the linen closet. I don't know how much blood is there. It looks like a large amount. It would be a product of time of the blood source being in one position for a little while, but I don't know how long.
And then take a look at Exhibit 115 in terms of the item that we just looked at. What are we seeing here?
I'm looking for a better
Well,
light.
then let's take a look at 118. Is this a better one?
It is. There's a box within that linen closet that shows bloody water has wicked up into the diluted shades of blood, and that simply travels up the box in a wicking motion, in a wicking action.
The fact that it looks like it's all the way around the box, does that speak to the volume of blood that was around this area, or is it you can have just a little bit of blood and then it sort of mushrooms out if you apply water to it?
I couldn't quite comment on the volume of blood other than you can still see the demarcation lines are very red, so it seems like it's not just a drop of blood in water.
We've seen this item there. Now if we look a little further on down, Exhibit 125, we see another one of those. Do you see that?
Yes.
What can you tell us about the fact that there's these very much larger circular areas of blood? What does that say about the source? Or can you tell us anything about what the source was doing? Well,
the source like I addressed earlier, that it could either be the action of the blood source being in one position there for a while, bleeding that accumulation, that little pool, or there could be some process of this with the water contact, it pooling in one area, but I'm not certain about that.
Okay. Exhibit 120. Are you familiar with item number 6 on this photograph?
No.
Are you familiar with having done screening on a hair follicle?
I did screening on a hair. I was not.
Why don't you take?
Certain that it was number 6.
Do you know whether or not the hair was at the number 6 location or not?
I would only be able to know a property ID number referencing my report, but I don't know.
Why don't you
that
go ahead and do that? All right.
Okay. If that was number 6LB, that's what I had it referenced as, 6LB.
All right. And what is 6LB?
Was a possible hair.
And what did you do with that possible hair back at the lab?
Back at the lab, I did my preliminary Kastle-Meyer test. Didn't get indications of blood, but on the end that appeared to possibly have a root ball, or had white material consistent with being a root. I processed that and sent it forward for DNA analysis.
Why did you focus on the root as opposed to the hair itself?
Because that's where we can get our DNA. That's where, our
the DNA
process
resides?
Yes. For the way that we process DNA, yes.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 126. And for reference, you see this door trim there? You see that?
Is that the closet? If that is the edge of the linen closet, then this is the west wall of the master bathroom hallway.
My question is, why is this area here much lighter than the other stains that we've been looking at?
Due to the contact with water. That water has spread over this area and has not affected the other areas as much.
See this area right here?
Yes.
What is that?
That would be a transfer stain, as we talked about earlier, a blood-bearing source coming into contact with another source, with another surface.
And so it's sort of a sliding kind of process there?
It is linear, so it could be sliding that way, correct.
Then exhibit number 127. Do you see that there?
Yes.
And what is this? What's going on here?
It appears to be the same. It's a transfer, again, a transfer pattern.
But why is it up here that it's just linear, and down here we have it coming down? Do you see that?
There's more volume for one reason, for whatever reason. The contact with the blood source was more. There's more of a volume that caused it to to drip down.
Exhibit number 129. See the door up here?
Yes,
And so which wall is this one right here?
that is the west wall.
As we look at this, part of the reason I want to talk about this is, what is this over here first?
That is the saturation stain on the carpet.
So that is carpet then, right?
Yes, that's carpet.
We see this right here. You see that little circle there, kind of half circle thing there? You see that?
I see the carpet.
And then this area here is relatively clean. And then you follow this around and all the way back. It also appears to be relatively clean until you see this spot here and this other spot here that we've talked about previously. How is it, or what does that tell you in terms of the depositing of blood when you have a situation like this, and then you take a look at the left right there?
Well, where we can see that water has come into contact, it could be that water has gone through the entire middle.
But if water's gone through the middle, what's going on over here? And it seems to be in a round circle down here. Can you tell me how that happens?
Maybe there was something there that prevented it from that area being bloody.
Would it also be consistent with, for example, a cleaning utensil of some sort
It could be, yes.
coming through here and doing this?
Sure.
In looking at these along the wall here, is it a circumstance that the source is bleeding as it goes along there, or are any of those related to strikes, or is it just a situation that the source, as it passes through there, however it passes through there, is just depositing the blood? Is that what's going on?
It could be. They're not really in a pattern for me to determine this was where an impact occurred, this is where something else occurred. They're just a bunch of blood stains and some accumulations and the dilute factor. So I couldn't really talk about a specific incident each down that hall.
But could you tell me whether or not the source at least was in these areas to
Yes.
deposit that blood?
Yes.
And at the same time, was the source at least depositing blood on the left side of it?
Yes.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 132. Is this the carpet?
Yes, it is.
If that's the carpet, what wall is this one?
That's the east wall.
And again, we see this up here. Do you see right above the switch there? Or not the
Yes.
switch, but the electrical outlet? And then this right here.
Right.
What could create that sort of circular half-moon kind of pattern on the wall?
Any sort of it's a transfer type stain, so anything that would be blood bearing coming into contact with it, or the blood being on the wall and something coming into contact with it and moving it along.
And then if we take a look at the area to the right of the switch in Exhibit 133, we see that circular pattern also, right?
Correct.
And why is it coming down right to the right of that switch? What does that
It
say?
might just be a matter of the volume that contacted it right there.
Gravity?
Those could be from gravity. Because of the water, it makes them very difficult to determine them from a specific event, but they were clearly deposited there.
Why does the water make it difficult to do that?
Because it washes away the edges of any of the blood stains and makes them not regularly shaped, which is what we look for in identifying patterns.
Down here, you see this area here?
Yes.
Now, that area was cut out and we've taken a look at it. Have you actually taken a look at the rug yourself? The cutout?
I did see it when somebody else had it out, yes.
And so you did see it.
I did see it.
And with regard to this particular stain, this is exhibit number 131, what can you tell us about it?
But that is a large saturation stain, which means that it's a large pool, an accumulation of blood or a blood pool that's gone into an absorbent material, i.e. the carpet.
So can you tell us anything about whether or not the source was?
I couldn't define the position other than it was over that area.
What about right here? Do you see this one sort of seems, for lack of a better term, more pristine, whereas this one up here seems to be rubbed? Do you see that?
Yes.
What could cause that?
It could be any sort of contact with that stain.
Somebody walking through it could do that?
Absolutely.
Were you able to determine whether or not there had been any water applied to this area?
Not when we saw this side, but when we saw the underside, we did.
Okay, I'm asking about what you saw. Okay, so
Okay.
when you saw, did you see the underside?
I did see the underside.
On the underside, how is it that you were able to see whether or not water had been applied? How are you sure that you did see that?
Because there was, the same way that looking down the hall, there was the dilute blood stains, you could see the light shade of red covering areas of the tile. It was very much diffused around this, under this carpet, under this stain, kind of the same coloration maybe as the box that was in the linen closet. So a lighter shade of red, implying it had been diluted and it had flowed down in that area. Well, when we were at the scene, I don't recall it being wet, but looking at it from underneath, it had at least seeped through from the edge of the tile on, but I don't know how
Okay.
the mechanism for carpet.
Well, let me show you exhibit number 128. We see that same stain there on
Yes.
the left side. Then we look over here on the right. Do you see that on the right?
Yes.
What is going on with that?
It appears to be a lot of transfers, and part of that could be from either stains that have been disrupted by walking over them. It could be a product of the diffused, the diluted blood flowing under, and then it being walked on and coming up to the surface.
So
I can't make an absolute determination.
It could-
There had been nice looking stains there. Walking over it could have disrupted that and created this.
Does this imply a lot of walking or a little bit of walking?
Well, it's not a pristine looking area, so it would imply a lot of movement of some sort.
Could it
or
also be-
contact of some sort.
Could it also be that, do you see that it sort of seems to end here?
Yes.
Did you see any that went this way? This walking motion, or if it was walking this way?
I mean, beyond this?
Yes, beyond this.
I never saw any blood beyond this area in the
So
bedroom.
this is the only area that you saw this staining of blood, right?
Correct.
Did you see any blood throughout the master bedroom anywhere other than right here in this area?
Just right here, and then I think there was maybe one stain or so right outside the closet here.
Where?
Right over here.
Show me where.
Right here. I just wrote on top of it.
Okay, so was it a large stain or a small?
No, just a couple drops maybe.
A couple drops there? But did you see any near the bed, anywhere
No,
else?
no, I did not.
How about near the area where the bathroom goes into the closet? Did you see any blood staining there at all?
In the closet, no.
So with regard to this staining here, would it be consistent with, and if you know, you don't know, somebody sort of walking on this, for whatever reason they're walking on this particular area and not going into the bedroom,
Yes,
but perhaps going the other way?
perhaps, yes.
Let's see, look at exhibit number 78. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And was there any staining here? Was there any blood staining at all? That's the closet, right?
That's the closet, no.
And then we have something right here in the corner there. Do you see that?
Yes.
You then go to exhibit number 121. That's the area, right?
Correct.
Well, describe for me what's going on. What's the action?
Another transfer pattern, the contact between a blood-bearing source and another surface in a linear fashion.
As they're going by.
Yes.
Right? Did that extend in this direction in any way at all?
No.
We know where we're headed, exhibit 78. You see the number 2 there?
Yes.
Exhibit number 79 shows us that corner there, right?
Yes.
And right there is what at that turn?
That transfer again.
And exhibit 81 shows us, first of all, what is this part right here?
It appears it could be a transfer
No,
again.
I mean, what does it lead to? This
It
area?
leads to, it's the lip of the shower.
And is that where the body was?
Yes, it was.
And so we then see this right here, this reddish substance. Again, what does that mean in terms of arriving there at that place?
That a bloodstained source came into contact with it.
And is it the transfer pattern that you
It's
talked about?
consistent with the transfer, yes.
Exhibit 121. Do you see that right there?
I do.
What is that?
It's called a pattern transfer, where you can actually identify a pattern within a transfer stain.
And the pattern that you have there, is that consistent with a barefoot? Is that consistent with socks, or is that consistent with shoes?
It's consistent with a shoe tread.
So if we look at Exhibit 122, that's what we're looking at, right?
Yes.
And what's the direction of this particular stain? If we
It
then,
is-
let me give you Exhibit 249. And I'll bring it in closer. It was right in this area, correct?
I think I just saw, can you lower it down a little bit? I think I saw where it says shoe tread right on the lip there, shoe impression. Somebody
Okay.
says they're drawing.
What was the direction of that print? All right. What does it mean when this pattern is in what, blood, right?
Correct.
What does it mean in terms of the individual who wore this shoe, in terms of the sequencing and how this blood could have arrived there?
That they were walking through the bathroom after blood was shed.
And after they were wearing shoes?
And after they were, yes, correct.
I don't have any other questions.
Before we get into some of the other things you talked about being at the crime scene, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And a few moments ago, I think recently enough, I won't show you the picture again, the state showed you a bit of blood that was on the lip of the shower.
Correct.
Or the base of the shower, right?
Yes.
Okay. In the shower stall, the walls, everything that encased it, was there any blood found there?
On the floor only.
Okay, on the floor only, not on the walls?
No.
Okay, and no traces of blood on any of the walls, correct?
No.
Testing, okay. Now, I just want to go back to Exhibit 249. I believe this will demonstrate things a little better than the photos. A few moments ago, Mr. Martinez showed you the pool of blood that is denoted that was in the carpet that's denoted by this area. Do you recall seeing that?
I did.
Okay. And he asked you some questions about if there was any blood any farther inside the room than that point where the blood ended in the pool.
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned a few drops that were over towards the closet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you said there was no blood in the closet.
No blood in the closet.
And it seemed to me what the implication here was in terms of what you were saying is that someone could not have walked through the blood-covered carpet into the closet without bringing some trace of blood with them. Is that accurate?
It seems like a logical explanation,
Okay.
yes.
So, and ultimately what we're really saying, whether it's into the closet or not, no one would have walked through that pool of blood once it was deposited. Is that accurate?
Nobody would have walked through
It because we would have seen signs of transfer, at least towards the room, I should say.
But towards the bedroom, I didn't see anything beyond that one little area. Whether somebody would walk through, I don't know.
Right, and if I was unclear,
Okay,
I
sorry.
apologize. But no, you wouldn't see, there's no evidence of somebody having walked through after that blood was deposited there.
Correct.
Is that correct? That's all I have, thank you.
Any redirect?
With regard to somebody either walking through that area into the bedroom, where have we looked at that has all of the blood in it?
It's all the blood is in the blood is in the master bathroom and that area of the carpet.
And in the master bathroom, is there something called water?
Yes.
Was water used in this case as part of an attempt by whoever it was to sort of change the patterns there?
Objections, to be honest, across.
Overruled.
Can you, after that pause, can you restate the question? Sorry.
Could you read it back to her?
Was water used in this case as part of an attempt by whoever it was to sort of change the matter?
I would say water did change the matter as to the motivation, I wouldn't want to speculate on that, but water did alter what I saw.
And that water that was used in there, could that water also be used, for example, to wash, I don't know, hands? Could they also be done to do that?
Yes.
Could it also be done to, for example, clean feet? Could it be done to do that?
Yes.
And water, do you know what a towel is?
Yes.
Could a towel then, after water was used, could that be used to wipe up feet and hands and that sort of thing?
Way beyond the scope of cross.
Sustained.
You were asked whether or not you saw anything or any other blood, if you will, Exhibit 249, in this area here, right?
Correct.
With regard to the properties of blood, is it difficult for water to clean them off the body, for example, the hands?
To wash blood off the hands?
Right.
No.
I don't have any other questions.
Looks like we have a few.
This video is intended to prove that during the photo shoot, the shower door was open and that many of the shots were taken with the camera inside the shower, making it likely that Travis was aware that Jodi was filming him. Jodi Arias lies often, but there is no reason to lie about the shower door being open.
And I asked him if I could do pictures in the shower, and he's like, no. And I was like, I just have an idea. I have a couple ideas. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, I have this, I saw this thing in a Calvin Klein ad once that looked really good. And so he was, you're right, he wasn't very comfortable at first. He's standing there and he's all, I feel gay.
He has that look on his face, though.
So some I deleted and some I kept taking. And some he looked really good, I thought. The one that you showed me yesterday, I've been looking right at you. I think that's a great picture. He hates it. I don't know what he hates about that. I think it's a very good picture of him.
So you were taking pictures and showing them?
Yeah. He's all, let me see, and showing. His shower door was open, and his water pressure in that shower isn't that great, so it's not like water was going everywhere.
So your conversation with Dr. Horn then would have took place on August 6, 2009?
Yes.
Okay. And you were in court for his testimony, correct?
I don't recall if I was or not.
Okay. Did you hear him testify to the idea that he didn't talk to you on August 6, 2009?
Objection to stasis, Dr. Horn's statement. He said he doesn't remember.
Sustained.
All right, so your testimony was that you spoke to Dr. Horn one day before you gave this testimony.
Are you talking about this testimony here?
Yes. Not testimony today, but testimony here. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And in that testimony, you were asked about the sequencing of injuries according to Dr. Horn. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you were asked about, in terms of sequencing, which came first? Which wound came first, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you recall what your answer was?
I answered that the gunshot was possibly first.
Okay. And what did you base your answer on?
Well, I'd spoken to Dr. Horn the day before over the phone on a short conversation, knowing that I was having a hearing on this matter, and discussed mainly what kind of pain the victim would have gone through at that time, if the victim had suffered at that time, those kinds of questions.
Okay.
And during that, we kind of discussed some other things, and one of them was very briefly the sequencing.
Okay. Well, you say very briefly, but this would be important if you're giving sworn testimony in court, right?
The sequencing was not that important in this case at that time.
So you felt it wasn't important to give accurate testimony in court in your prior proceedings? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the most important portion was the whether the victim, Travis Alexander, suffered in this case.
Let me ask you not what's the most important portion. Let's focus on what I asked. What I asked was whether or not it was important to give accurate testimony when you're testifying in a court.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And you did testify to the idea that the gunshot wound to the head was first, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you went on, you were asked also in that hearing, and you also talked about unconsciousness and that sort of thing. But you also talked about whether or not after incurring the shot to the head, Mr. Alexander could be conscious. Do you recall being asked that?
Yes.
Okay. And you relayed, do you recall relaying the opinion that Mr. Alexander would be conscious after being suffering the shot to the head?
Yes, but that was my opinion at that time.
That was your opinion, but what you were, so you weren't relaying Dr. Horn's opinion as you said during those transcripts. You were relaying your own.
I would say that was my understanding of what the situation was, but I'm not the doctor. I'm not the ultimate decision maker on that.
So your claim here today is that when you were at this important proceeding in this death penalty case, you were giving your opinion as to what you thought Dr. Horn might think, as opposed to when you were testifying, you told the parties involved there that you'd spoken to him and this is what he believed.
That was my understanding.
You also gave opinions about that supported this theory that Mr. Alexander had been shot first, correct?
Yes, I do recall that.
Okay. I mean, specifically you talked about that he aspirated blood over the sink, correct?
Yes, I do remember that.
And what does that mean?
Aspirated blood means blood being aspirated through the mouth and through the nose and onto an object such as the sink or the mirror in this case.
Okay. So now you said, it was your misunderstanding of Dr. Horn's testimony and that sort of thing. And you said you weren't sure if you were here in court, but in these court proceedings, is this the first you've heard of a different story being told about when the wounds occurred?
No.
You've heard about it before?
Yes, during Dr. Horn's testimony.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about another testimony Dr. Horn gave, but I was here during his testimony the other day.
Okay. So during this trial, Dr. Horn's testimony, you were here, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I want to be accurate this time. And you heard him testify then that he hadn't spoken with you the day before the hearing, correct?
Objection. He states his testimony. He said he didn't know.
Sustained.
You heard him also testify that says some of the things that we just talked about not losing consciousness, how that was something that he would never have said. You heard him say that?
Yes.
Okay. But that's what you testified to at the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. And so this change of story is something that you first heard about at trial.
No, it's not the first time I've heard of it.
Okay. When was the first time you heard this story changed?
I don't remember. It might be several months ago or a year ago.
What was the context?
I don't recall exactly, but I know Dr. Horn had gone and given an interview, I guess, with you and defense counsel, and something came out to me informing me of what he stated during the interview.
Okay. Did you make any attempts to correct the mistaken testimony you gave in 2009?
No, because I told the truth and spoke to what I believed at that time. I'm not about to change my testimony.
But it was inaccurate.
It was not inaccurate, it was mistaken.
Mistaken,
And
I see.
that's my mistake if I mistook his words or misunderstood him, but I am not a doctor and I'm not about to give testimony on experience of a doctor.
I'm not saying you're a doctor, detective. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, and we just talked about it, about the importance of giving accurate testimony. And in this hearing, you were asked specifically, if you talked to Dr. Horn, you said yes. You were asked if Dr. Horn had an opinion of the sequencing of the injuries, right?
Yes.
They didn't ask you, what do you think, Detective Flores? What's your medical opinion? They didn't ask you that, did they?
No.
They asked you, what was Dr. Horn's opinion? And that's a pretty simple question, straightforward, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so what you're telling us today is that you substituted your judgment for his? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, if I gave that testimony, it was a misunderstanding of what Dr. Horn told me.
Okay. So, it's inaccurate, is what you're saying today.
Yes.
Okay. And that's what I asked you a few moments ago. Did you take any steps to correct your inaccurate testimony? And you said, no, it wasn't inaccurate. It was a misunderstanding.
Yes.
I'm confused. Well, is it inaccurate or is it a misunderstanding? Which is it?
Well, it's a misunderstanding of what Dr. Horn told me.
Okay, it's a pretty big one, isn't it?
No, I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Okay.
To orient ourselves, this is Mr. Alexander's head, correct?
Yes.
Blood right there, right?
Yes.
And that's his foot, correct?
Yes.
And given the way that the lights are in this particular photograph, the bathroom is in this direction, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that if the camera, exhibit 249, was last seen here, do you see that?
Yes.
And things happen the way you say they happened, we now have this photograph that you were the one that moved that camera, right?
It could have been us both. I don't know, remember moving it.
But you do remember, though, that as you ran down this hallway, you were not carrying the camera with you, right?
No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes.
And you told us that the camera landed next to the tub, right?
Yes.
And so if this photograph was snapped at the time that we've agreed that it's snapped, and the camera, the last time you see it, is next to the tub, and then you describe what happens, that Mr. Alexander is down next to the tub, then it was you that moved that camera, right?
Objection calls for speculation. She said she doesn't remember.
Sustained.
With regard to Mr. Alexander, ma'am, the last memory that you have of him is that he was down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And the last memory that you have of him is after you shot him, right?
Yes.
You never saw him walking around, did you?
No, I didn't.
And so if you didn't, assuming he didn't get up and walk around, and assuming you did shoot him, and assuming that the camera is where you told us that it was, then this camera, to take this photograph, had to be moved, right?
Yeah, it had to be moved.
And you would acknowledge that you did the moving, right?
Objection calls for speculation. She said over and over again she doesn't remember.
Overruled. You may answer.
Only under that theory. That would be right.
Well, you see him right there, ma'am? Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
No, take a look at it.
I've already seen it.
All right. Are you saying that in the condition that Mr. Alexander is in exhibit number 162, you were there, it's your opinion that he, in that condition, could move the camera?
I'm not saying that.
So you did move the camera, right?
Again, objection. Argumentative. She's already said she doesn't know what happened afterwards.
Overruled.
I don't know.
And that camera ended up as...
This video will attempt to prove the precise location of Exhibit 162 presented in the Jodi Arias trial. While it was obvious that the photograph was taken in the hallway with the camera pointed away from the bedroom and towards the bathroom sink area, the precise location was hard to determine, because the background was blown out and the details were hard to make out in any publicly available examples. Before beginning the analysis, it's important to know the elements of the photograph. In the original public image as seen here, there has been much wild speculation over the years as to what is actually seen in the photograph. The first thing we notice is the striped sweatpants and a zipper is on the far left. Then we can see Jodi's foot probably covered with a sock. Then we notice the gruesome sight of blood coming over the shoulder of Travis. You can make out the crown of his head as well. Travis's arm is up in the air. You can also see Travis's right foot in the background with a gap between the big toe and second toe. The image was taken at 5:32 and 16 seconds. Exhibit 162 was filmed using a Sony Cybershot DSC-H9. The image was taken while the camera was upside down. Even the slightest nudge of this particular camera will, in that position, snap a picture. For the purpose of this video, the image will be rotated and lined up horizontally with the floor grout lines. On February the 16th, 2016, the book, Conviction, by Juan Martinez, the prosecutor in this case, was published. This book contains a much higher quality image of Exhibit 162 than had ever been seen by the public. The detail in this image was startling. Amazingly, the image shows the sink cabinets. The pictures on the far wall. If you look closely, they even have the same color pattern of a dark area in the lower left. Even the top portion of the round countertop mirror is visible in this image. Another interesting detail is the door hinge of the linen closet. The shadow underneath the linen closet door is visible to the right of the victim's foot. The door stop can even be made out just below the victim's middle toe. It has been known for years that the tile below Jodi's foot has an identifying mark. Some refer to this mark as the squiggly. Many tiles in the bathroom have this mark. An examination of every tile in the bathroom hallway has revealed that only 3 tiles have the correct squiggly orientation, and they are the first 3 tiles from the carpet after the initial tile trim. I have determined that the tile that closest resembles Exhibit 162 is tile B. As you can see, Jodi's foot and pant leg can clearly be seen along with the zipper in the back. Based on the grout line, it's clear that Jodi's foot is in the tile above tile B. One final interesting fact about this image discovered during the analysis for this video is the presence of a liquid, probably blood, between Jodi's foot and the squiggly mark. If you compare the specularity or shine of this location with the other visible tile, you will notice a large difference, almost of a reflective value. I hope this analysis helps better explain Exhibit 162.
Here, on my knees, and his bathtub was right here, and I was taking him here, and I was just going through the pictures, and I heard this loud ring, and I don't really remember except Travis was screaming, putting my hand on his back, because he was on all four of his knees. He was like on his knees like this, doing something like this or something like, I don't know. And I like, and Travis was screaming the whole time. He wasn't screaming like a girl, he was just like he was in pain, like he was like shocked, like, you know. He wasn't really moving though, he was just staying kind of still on the floor.
Because he'd been shot at this time, right?
Yeah, but he was still alive. He was still conscious even. Like,
Still talking.
oh, he wasn't talking or saying much, but I could tell he was breathing. He seemed like he was breathing calmly, I think. He wasn't like, he was just there. I don't really remember it.
May the 16th, 2008, Jodi Arias sent an email to Travis at 12:32 a.m.
Hey there. I feel like sharing this with you. After all, you are my friend. It's been a bit of a sore subject for both of us in the past, and sometimes it feels like it continues to be. But I hope you'll understand where I am coming from. I really hope you can stretch your mind and heart for this, and put yourself in my shoes for the moment. I'm not saying you have to stay the, nor do you have to agree with, but I think if you give it an honest and sincere effort, you will surely understand the way I feel, and why it is I sometimes feel this way. I know the tone of an email or text message can sometimes be ambiguous, since the receiver is only interpreting what the tone of the sender would be if it were spoken, so please know that the spirit in which I send this is that of love, camaraderie, and amistad friendship. Here goes. I realized after further introspection why it is that I ask you to give me a little mention in your next post, as credit for the task of editing and grammar and typing the lengthy thing out. Partly it is obvious. You gave your friend Katie a mention, and that was just for the intro. Logically, I'm your friend too. Your first chapter is at length much longer, and so being the human that I am, it would make me feel good to have a little recognition thrown my way. But it goes deeper than that. I know I should be over this by now, and on most levels I am, really. But I feel that I never got the proper credit or recognition I deserved as your girlfriend. You say it is because you're a private person. You say it was because of Deanna. You say it was because you were rather attached to the reputation of being a single, eligible bachelor. I understand all of that. I really do, and that's okay, hon. I don't harbor bad feelings over any of that stuff. I am serious. You may be asking yourself, why then the lengthy email detailing all of this if that is in fact the case? Well, it's good thing this is in writing, because if that is your question, it has already been answered in the first paragraph of the email. Refer back to it if you wish. But my cry of a little recognition comes from a place within me that feels it was never adequately gratified, in that it thirsted to be validated not just as some girlfriend that you associated with, but as your girlfriend. I wasn't asking you to give me credit for all of your greatness, no. If I had anything to do with that, then it was only a very tiny part, if at all. Though I was beginning to wonder if you were going to be the type to subscribe to the philosophy that behind every great man there is a great woman. I think that philosophy is a two-way street, by the way. I find myself now wishing to be recognized as your friend, and I think that comes from the fact that there is a hesitancy on your part to grant me that recognition within your entire circle of friends. I'm going to digress a bit, but I'm going to try tie it all together. Either way, this isn't so much about flowing as it is purging. About your mode of operation with Deanna, I both appreciated and despised it at the time. I could care less now. It was double-edged sword for you, I know. For me as well. If Deanna was happy, Travis was happy, Jodi was happy. True, you didn't want to deal with her interrogations and emotions, and in large part, you wanted to protect her. Easily understandable for me, having the soft heart that I do when it comes to matters of romance and broken hearts. Protecting her? That is very characteristic of your sweeter, caring, considerate side. You've shown that to me as well on countless occasions. You are a bit of a people pleaser, and that has been to my benefit and not. Again, it is a double-edged sword. You go out of your way to do things for me that will make me happy, and you consider my feelings when doing certain things. I also realize it gets you tied up in certain ways. This incident about your blog, namely, where you don't even want to give my name a mention, because of the unwelcome crap and comments you receive by your friends, Chris and Sky Hughes. So there is a bit of people-pleasing going on, it seems, with more of your friendships beyond just the spectrum of ours. Well, I'm going to make it easier for you. Given our history and the fact that we've dated and all, If any of your friendships should take the back burner, it should be the one that you have to hide from others. Don't misunderstand me. Remember the spirit in which I am saying this. I value our friendship as one of the greatest treasures I've ever had the fortune of having, knowing and experiencing. Have I mishandled it in the past? Guilty. Both of our track records have been tarnished, but that doesn't diminish how much we value each other and the inherent divinity that is within us. When you are scrutinized, criticized and questioned about being my friend, that's one thing. It hurts us both, yes, but it is easily rectified by standing strong and firm in defense of our friendship. You've done that plenty of times. Even perhaps when I was undeserving of such defense. But when you have to censor our friendship for fear of the criticism you will receive as a result of it, then it becomes awkwardly and embarrassingly apparent that something is not right, especially when all it is a friendship. A friendship. We're not secret lovers. It's a friendship. I am proud to call you my friend. I brag about you to whoever will listen, to promote you, speak highly of you, and give you all of the accolades you've ever deserved any chance I get. I've never had to hide our friendship from anyone. Never. I would publish it in major newspapers nationwide, and broadcast it on syndicated radio and national television. You see, I have no shame in being your friend. And if anyone ever tried to guilt me, judge me, criticize me, harass me or otherwise give me an ounce of crap over it, I would put them in their place so fast they would never think to open their mouths about on the subject again. I'm not saying you should feel or do the same. But because I am your friend first and foremost, and because I care very much about your happiness and well-being, I think you would be better off if you had one less person to worry about pleasing. I'm sure you can agree with that much. It is so simple to please me. It really is. It's the little things that just make my entire day. But I haven't always made it easy for you. So I'm going to be proactive and remove myself from the list of people you have to worry about pleasing. Still friends? Of course, silly. We're not about to dissolve a friendship that was firmly formed almost 2 years ago, likely long before that in the grander scheme of things, aka pre-existence. But here I am with the proverbial scissors cutting the proverbial strings of our friendship. We remain friends only now, because of our free will to do so. Not because we feel as though we are still tied to each other and have to be, because of some imagined obligation or nicety. This, I believe, will make your life a lot less stressful and all around easier. If anything, it will be a weight off of your shoulders, one you've shouldered like a champ, believe me. You've done more for me than some friends that I've known for nearly 20 years. I love you and I will always be here for you as your friend and confidant. Take comfort in that if it brings you any. Faithfully your friend, Jodi Arias.
The male voice after this point will be what I think Jodi is really thinking.
Hey there. I feel like sharing this with you. After all, you are my friend.
But I obviously am not your friend.
It's been a bit of a sore subject for both of us in the past, and sometimes it feels like it continues to be. But I hope you'll understand where I am coming from. I really hope you can stretch your mind and heart for this, and put yourself in my shoes for the moment.
You are normally closed and seemingly unaware of my feelings.
I'm not saying you have to stay the, nor do you have to agree with, but I think if you give it an honest and sincere effort.
Otherwise you aren't being honest and sincere.
You will surely understand the way I feel, and why it is I sometimes feel this way. I know the tone of an email or text message can sometimes be ambiguous, since the receiver is only interpreting what the tone of the sender would be if it were spoken, so please know that the spirit in which I send this is that of love, camaraderie, and amistad friendship.
This will read as incredibly angry and petty. So disregard that, because of this disclaimer.
Here goes. I realized after further introspection why it is that I ask you to give me a little mention in your next post, as credit for the task of editing and grammar and typing the lengthy thing out.
I want to be acknowledged as important to your friends.
Partly it is obvious. You gave your friend Katie a mention, and that was just for the intro logically. I'm your friend too. Your first chapter is at length much longer, and so being the human that I am.
All humans feel this way. You must not be human.
It would make me feel good to have a little recognition thrown my way. But it goes deeper than that. I know I should be over this by now, and on most levels I am, really.
I am not over this, and that is why I need to say more.
But I feel that I never got the proper credit or recognition I deserved as your girlfriend. You say it is because you're a private person. You say it was because of Deanna. You say it was because you were rather attached to the reputation of being a single, eligible bachelor. I understand all of that. I really do, and that's okay, hon.
I don't understand it all, but I wanted to point out all the things you did then downplay it.
I don't harbor bad feelings over any of that stuff. I am serious.
I'm incredibly angry over this, hence my need to write this letter.
You may be asking yourself, why then the lengthy email detailing all of this if that is in fact the case?
I knew my writing would reveal my anger, so let me explain to downplay my anger.
Well, it's good thing this is in writing because if that is your question, it has already been answered in the first paragraph of the email. Refer back to it if you wish.
You probably can't remember yet again, so go read it.
But my cry of a little recognition comes from a place within me that feels it was never adequately gratified, in that it thirsted to be validated.
I am obsessed with being validated.
Not just as some girlfriend that you associated with, but as your girlfriend. I wasn't asking you to give me credit for all of your greatness, no.
Yes, I am using greatness sarcastically, but my previous disclaimer should do the trick.
If I had anything to do with that, then it was only a very tiny part, if at all.
I had a lot to do with your greatness.
Though I was beginning to wonder if you were going to be the type to subscribe to the philosophy that behind every great man there is a great woman. I think that philosophy is a two-way street, by the way.
I was the great woman behind your greatness, but let me add the reverse, to make me seem reasonable.
I find myself now wishing to be recognized as your friend, and I think that comes from the fact that there is a hesitancy on your part to grant me that recognition within your entire circle of friends.
I know I am not your girlfriend anymore, but I still want you and I want recognition. I am angry that was never given to me.
I'm going to digress a bit, but I'm going to try tie it all together. Either way, this isn't so much about flowing as it is purging. About your mode of operation with Deanna, I both appreciated and despised it at the time. I could care less now.
I care a lot now and never appreciated it.
It was double-edged sword for you, I know. For me as well.
For me it really wasn't a double-edged sword, but we'll say so to deflect my anger.
If Deanna was happy, Travis was happy, Jodi was happy.
I was actually angry if Deanna was involved with any of your happiness.
True, you didn't want to deal with her interrogations and emotions, and in large part, you wanted to protect her.
See, Deanna wasn't a good person, but yet you still wanted to protect her.
Easily understandable for me, having the soft heart that I do when it comes to matters of romance and broken hearts.
I am a loving, caring person and you broke my heart and I want you to know that.
Protecting her? That is very characteristic of your sweeter, caring, considerate side.
I am implying you have another not so sweet and caring side, like not giving me credit on your blog.
You've shown that to me as well on countless occasions. You are a bit of a people pleaser, and that has been to my benefit and not.
You should have only wanted to please me, not other people.
Again, it is a double-edged sword. You go out of your way to do things for me that will make me happy, and you consider my feelings when doing certain things.
I say certain things to imply you don't treat me that way on all things.
I also realize it gets you tied up in certain ways. This incident about your blog, namely, where you don't even want to give my name a mention, because of the unwelcome crap and comments you receive by your friends, Chris and Sky Hughes.
Yes, I really hate Chris and Sky Hughes, and that you are now embarrassed of me, and don't want to mention my name. I said crap because I really am angry, but again, my disclaimer is still in effect.
So there is a bit of people-pleasing going on, it seems, with more of your friendships beyond just the spectrum of ours.
You now don't want any of your friends to know we still communicate.
Well, I'm going to make it easier for you. Given our history and the fact that we've dated and all, if any of your friendships should take the back burner, it should be the one that you have to hide from others.
Me, I will take the back burner.
Don't misunderstand me. Remember the spirit in which I am saying this.
Again, remember this, so I can say whatever I want, and you have to believe it is said out of love, camaraderie, and amistad.
I value our friendship as one of the greatest treasures I've ever had the fortune of having, knowing and experiencing. Have I mishandled it in the past? Guilty.
I am trying hard to make you feel guilty, and that I am a better person now, no more tire slashing.
Both of our track records have been tarnished, but that doesn't diminish how much we value each other and the inherent divinity that is within us.
I know you don't value me the same, but I will say you do because you should.
When you are scrutinized, criticized and questioned about being my friend, that's one thing. It hurts us both, yes, but it is easily rectified by standing strong and firm in defense of our friendship. You've done that plenty of times.
You used to, but don't anymore, but you should. I am angry about that.
Even perhaps when I was undeserving of such defense. But when you have to censor our friendship for fear of the criticism you will receive as a result of it, then it becomes awkwardly and embarrassingly apparent that something is not right, especially when all it is a friendship.
Let me emphasize that all it is a friendship, to attempt to hurt your feelings.
A friendship. We're not secret lovers.
We are secret lovers.
It's a friendship. I am proud to call you my friend.
You are not.
I brag about you to whoever will listen, to promote you, speak highly of you, and give you all of the accolades you've ever deserved any chance I get.
You will not.
I've never had to hide our friendship from anyone. Never.
You hide it all the time.
I would publish it in major newspapers nationwide, and broadcast it on syndicated radio and national television. You see, I have no shame in being your friend.
You do have shame. I know why, but I'm not willing to admit to it.
And if anyone ever tried to guilt me, judge me, criticize me, harass me or otherwise give me an ounce of crap over it, I would put them in their place so fast they would never think to open their mouths about on the subject again.
You have done nothing like this.
I'm not saying you should feel or do the same. But because I am your friend first and foremost, and because I care very much about your happiness and well-being, I think you would be better off if you had one less person to worry about pleasing.
You are not concerned with my happiness. I am concerned with my happiness, and hope this comment guilts you into coming back to me.
I'm sure you can agree with that much. It is so simple to please me. It really is. It's the little things that just make my entire day. But I haven't always made it easy for you.
I rarely made it easy for you. I'm so simple to get along with, can't you see that?
So I'm going to be proactive and remove myself from the list of people you have to worry about pleasing. Still friends? Of course, silly.
I hate you, but if you take me back, I will. But be even more difficult to get along with.
We're not about to dissolve a friendship that was firmly formed almost 2 years ago, likely long before that in the grander scheme of things, aka pre-existence.
Don't you see, we met a long time ago and were predestined to be together.
But here I am with the proverbial scissors cutting the proverbial strings of our friendship.
I know I just said, still friends? Of course, silly, but this is what I really meant.
We remain friends only now, because of our free will to do so. Not because we feel as though we are still tied to each other and have to be, because of some imagined obligation or nicety.
I know your will is to not be friends with me, but struggle because I offer sex.
This, I believe, will make your life a lot less stressful and all around easier. If anything, it will be a weight off of your shoulders, one you've shouldered like a champ, believe me.
I am a martyr.
You've done more for me than some friends that I've known for nearly 20 years. I love you and I will always be here for you as your friend and confidant.
I know this doesn't make sense, since I said I am cutting our strings of friendship, but wanted to attempt one more time to appeal to your emotions.
Take comfort in that if it brings you any.
I know it doesn't, but perhaps saying if it brings you any will guilt you into saying something nice and boosting my hope.
Faithfully your friend.
See, I am still faithful. What about you?
Jodi Arias.
Did Travis ever tell you he kept his gun loaded?
He told me of one time that he considered loading it, but he assured me that it was not loaded.
If you did not think the gun was loaded, why chance grabbing a gun that may not be loaded instead of just running outside?
I grabbed the gun not because I intended to shoot him. I grabbed the gun because my thought is that if a gun is pointed, you stop.
I'm asking you whether or not in response to one of the jury questions, whether or not you indicated to them, the jury, as part of the question, that as you held your hand out, that you believed the gun was unloaded. That's all I'm asking.
Objection, ask and answer.
I don't remember the specific answer I gave on that. I just remember that I don't recall it being loaded, or I don't remember even thinking about whether it was loaded or not.
Then I guess would you have a quibble if I told you that that's what you said to them?
He assured me that it was not loaded.
If it wasn't loaded, ma'am, and you told us before that Mr. Alexander told you it wasn't loaded, right?
He did.
You told us that, right?
He told me both, yes.
Yeah, you told that to the jury, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Alexander said it's not loaded, right?
He said it's not loaded, and then one day he loaded it, so he said it was loaded. He told me of one time that he considered loading it, but he assured me that it was not loaded.
Ma'am, but you said you didn't include this part about loading. You did say that he told you it was unloaded, right? He did tell you that, right?
Yeah, initially he assured me it was not loaded.
Right. And so you go with these words of Mr. Alexander telling you that he believed it was unloaded, and then you also take your belief that you think it's unloaded based on what he told you, and you take this, run into this closet to get that. What were you going to do with the gun? Throw it at him?
Objection, mischaracterizes testimony and is argumentative.
Sustained.
That you were the one that moved that camera, right?
It could have been us both. I don't know, remember moving it.
Well, based on what you tell us, there's this gunshot that rings out, right?
Yes.
And then you don't remember anything, right?
I didn't say that. I said it got foggy after that point. The point where I can't remember anything is after he threatened my life.
What's that?
After he threatened my life.
Well, what is it that he said?
Fucking kill you, bitch.
Effing kill you, bitch.
After fucking kill you, bitch, you don't remember anything else, right?
No. Not except the one thing that I described.
Right. But you do remember, though, that as you ran down this hallway, you were not carrying the camera with you, right?
No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes.
And you told us.
A 5-year-old could hold it better than that. You're an idiot. Come here! Effing kill you, bitch.
It started where Travis was in the shower. I was right outside the shower a few feet. I was taking photos of him. Back and forth we would check the photos. Some got deleted because they didn't turn out great, or he was making a wrong expression or something. And then others we kept. And so I would do this and do that, and then we crouched and did the same thing. We tried a few different positions. And then at one point we were deleting, and I went to move again and shift and face him, and the camera, it slipped. It was kind of like, the best I could describe it, like when you go to catch a football, but it bounces and you kind of fumble it a little. It didn't slip and just drop. It slipped, and I tried to catch it, and it kind of bounced a little and then fell on the ground and bounced and rolled onto the tile. It fell first on the mat, then it rolled right onto the tile. The mat isn't very big. It's just kind of right outside the shower, and then the tile is right outside. At that point, he got very angry, and he stepped out of the shower. He lifted me up from the crouch position with enough force that my feet came off the ground momentarily, and he body slammed me. At that point, I rolled, and I ran down the hallway. I ran into the closet. I slammed the door. I began running that way with my initial intent to probably run out this door. I instead went for the gun. I grabbed the gun. Right about then, Travis was opening the door. I grabbed it. I ran out into the bathroom. At that point, I had run out of the bathroom, and I turned, and I just wanted him to stop, so I pointed the gun at him, hoping that that would just make him halt. And it didn't. Instead, he lunged at me right around the time that the gun went off, and I didn't mean for it to go off. No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes.
And you told us.
No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not.
No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes.
And you told us that the camera landed next to the tub, right?
Like this. Sorry.
Here it is. This is bedroom. Okay, and then you got the long hallway down to this bathroom, this sink. And you have the closet here. And then you have a shower. And then the bathtub right there. And then there's the toilet right there. Okay.
this is the sink. Then his bedroom is, actually there's a closet door there. His bedroom.
Yes, exactly. And so his closet is kind of like this partition. So I ran this way because he was walking this way and she was already right here. And then he stopped me here and he said, "Don't move." And Travis was here or somewhere whereabouts, and he left the room for a minute. And I didn't have my stupid phone because it wasn't charged. And Travis's phone was downstairs, and I didn't know his roommates, I didn't think were home at the time. So, like, I was just trying to think if there's any way I could call 911 or call or get out of the house. There's no way out except down the stairs. His windows they're 2 stories for one, and they were hard to get to. He had stuff here and blinds and screens and window coverings and, from the outside. And
Okay.
She was over him, and I just rushed her and I pushed her, and There's what? Travis was bleeding everywhere.
What was she doing to him? Because he'd been shot at this time, right?
Yeah, but he was still alive. He was still conscious even.
Still talking?
Oh, he wasn't talking or saying much, but I could tell. He was breathing. He seemed like he was breathing calmly, I think. He wasn't he was just there. I really remember. It's such a blur.
Okay. And so you did what now? You pushed her?
She's a little bit bigger than me, not really in size, but height.
And what happened?
Oh, it didn't really deter her.
Did she have any weapons on her at all?
Yeah.
What'd she have?
I thought she was the one with the gun, but maybe she had the gun, but he had a gun. So either there were 2 guns or one gun, I don't know.
Well, she's the one who shot him, though, right? She was the one here, and he was back here at that time when you saw them.
I would think so, because, I don't know, I got hit here somewhere. I don't know. Because when I woke up, he was screaming. And I saw her at this point, right here, and walking either back. She must have been walking back this way. And I saw him sort of following. And that's when he's finished. And I started running this way, and he stopped me, and then he left the room for a couple of minutes.
Why did he leave?
Maybe just, I don't know.
Okay. So
He's
what happened
after
you pushed her?
I got Travis, and he wasn't standing up really. He wasn't really doing much, and I was trying to get him, and she came back. I got him kind of far, right here. She came back, and he was starting to just get weaker and weaker. And this guy came back in, and she said that they needed to do me too, because it was there. And he's like, "No, that's not why we're here." And he had my purse, which I had on the dresser here prior, somewhere.
And what did they do after this? After you guys reached this? Just try to stick with the incident itself and what was going on.
She came after me, and he stopped her. and she didn't get me.
How was she gonna get you? Did she have a weapon?
She had a knife.
Okay. You said she had a gun before.
I don't know if she had a gun. I think, because I am guessing, I know that he had a gun. I don't know if she had a gun or not.
So she was basically the aggressor.
Yeah, unless he took a shot too. I don't know.
But it seems like from what you're telling me, she was the aggressive one and he was the more passive.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely aggression as far as, I mean, I don't know what you define aggression by, but like there was definitely a sternness, and I wasn't like just free to walk out of there. Like, hey, it's cool, you know, it wasn't anything like that.
Then what happened?
They had an argument back and forth, and she wanted to kill him, and he didn't.
Why didn't they kill you? Just because he said?
He said that's not what we're here for.
Did they say why they were there?
No. But it was obvious they were there for him. They didn't say why.
So it seemed like they knew him, obviously.
Yeah, but he didn't seem to know them. I mean, he was a little out of it. Plus, they had masks on anyway. But he didn't express any kind of recognition.
I could talk.
He was able to say, go get help. And at one point he said, go to my neighbor's house. Go to my neighbor's house. So that if you... there was just no way out of it.
Did you see them hurt him anymore? Other than a gunshot?
She had a knife and I don't know. He was bleeding everywhere. It was like, when she rushed me afterward, or she came back, I rushed her, but she kind of came back at me.
Why didn't she hurt
Travis
you?
and I were right about here, maybe? I don't know. Halfway, I don't know. And there was a little bit of a struggle with her and I. I was so scared. I'm not a person who fights. I'm not a person who knows really about self-defense. I took some classes once, but it was like 8 years ago and I've never been consistent with it.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure. I just knew I had to hold on to her hands because she had a knife.
What hand did she have it in?
She had it in this hand, but her right, I guess. So
right. And what happened? So you didn't see her hurt him anymore. He was just bleeding. Where did he end up?
he, when I tried getting him here, he said, go get help. And when I came back this way, pushed her, and he said, go to my neighbors, go to my neighbors. And I wasn't like, no, but I wasn't gonna leave. If I couldn't leave without him, I was trying. I felt stupid already for trying to run this way. I was gonna go to a phone. And he was like, I just said, come on, come on. You know, he was naked, but I didn't care. Just come on. And he's like, I can't. I said, come on. He's like, I can't feel my legs. And they wouldn't let me be by him.
Were you clothed at that time, or were you also nude?
Yeah, I was clothed.
Are those the pants that I showed you the other day on that camera?
I don't think I have pants like that. I don't know. I've got a lot of clothes. I'm trying to remember the clothes that I took to that trip. Oh, I do have another pair of striped pants, and they're gray though with a black stripe.
Okay.
think they were those. I don't know.
Okay. So what happened after that? They had a conversation about killing you two, and then they decided not to.
She
Go from
really,
that
really,
point.
really wanted to.
What happened then?
From there, they were, I was here, like his armoire or whatever it's called with his TV was here, and I was right about here, and I had to stay here. And I was calling his name, and they were like, shut the hell up. And I was just, I don't know if I was crying. It was all just like, it was so weird. He was going through my purse, and he pulled out my wallet, and he just took some cash. I had, though, my cash stashed in the jeans I had worn, like a good chunk of it, like $80, stashed in 420s in the back of my jeans pockets, which were in my backpack. But I had some cash in here, not all of it, though.
Okay.
So he took that, and
And what happened?
he was,
What was she doing?
she was like right here that time.
Doing what? He's over here taking stuff from your wallet, from your purse. You're here. She's down the hall.
She wasn't far. It's not a far distance. There was part of me, I think, that was just, I was sitting and I was just like, I didn't know what to say. Like, would you beg for your life? Do you say, who are you guys? I'm powerless because I don't have any way to stop them. They were just more powerful.
Well, continue
So
on.
I
So once he
figured-
took stuff from there, what did he do?
She was, I don't know what she was doing, but she was arguing with him and talking with him and saying,
What were they saying?
she's like, it wasn't like super yelling, it was kind of like hushed but intense, like, you need to da-da-da, shut up, it's not over here.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes again. I am making a video right now that's going to show a video game that I made a long time ago regarding the Jodi Arias case. This is Travis Alexander's bedroom. Okay, you're able to walk around. Now what you do in this game, I guess you call it, is move around with the A, S, D, and W keys. S is backwards. W is forward, A, okay, let me just show you while playing it, okay, so S is backwards, all right, W is forward, so S is backward, W forward, and then A strafes to the left, and D strafes to the right. Now to change the direction you're walking, move the mouse around. Then you just hit the W key and go in the direction that the camera basically is pointed. So hit the F key if you want to use a flashlight. See that? I actually added a flashlight in there. Alright, and I put the lights exactly where they're located. And if you look on the floor there, you see a camera. I think that's basically where the camera was when it took the shot. Image 162, exhibit 162 of Travis on his back and Jodi standing near his head. Okay, now when you're in here, realize that you can actually open up any of these doors by pressing the E key, like that. Okay, even the shower door is shut, but it's actually, during all the photos that Travis, while Travis was posing in the shower door was open. Okay, just like it is right there, all right? Now, Exhibit 161 is a shot that's real similar to this right here. And that's why that camera is right there. It allows you to see exactly where that camera was when it took Exhibit 161. All right? Now, the interesting part about that is Jodi claims that she was kneeling down on that mattress right there, fumbled the camera, and it went off just to the right here to the tub, and that's how that image got taken. Well, how is that even possible? That camera is way behind her head and in the air. Okay, she said she just fumbled it right next to that mat, and then it rolled to the right there. That makes no sense at all. So that's another lie, not hard to find when you're talking about Jodi Arias. Okay, here's the mirror right here. You can't see a reflection of yourself, but you can see, you know, a different angle using the mirror. Okay, and you can open up, you know, again, you can open up all these doors. Maybe we'll open up these so we can see the route that Jodi took. Or this is what she claims she did. Jodi claims she was kneeling down there, then Travis picked her up, threw her on the ground, then she got up and ran this direction. Okay, went into the walk-in closet, and then over here she jumped. Now the space bar allows you to jump, so she jumped, grabbed the gun, went out this entrance, turned around, and fired at him as he was following her. And that's just not, you know, that didn't happen. Okay. Now let's try something else I was thinking about. From this position, let's say, like I was saying, Travis got up, walked around, and he's on all fours still in this area right here. Then Jodi says, okay, I need to get she tried everything else. He just wasn't dying. All right, she couldn't get the gun to work, or there was no more bullets in my theory. She just had one bullet in the .25 caliber pistol. So let's time this, okay? I'm going to use a clock that I'm looking at. So let's see. I'm going to time her run to the kitchen. And this is going to be slower than it would have been. Okay, right, 29, 30, okay. So she runs down the hall, takes a quick left, goes down these stairs. All right, now just visualize. She just runs right across, goes and grabs the knife, turns around, runs back, and then she's going to go back up these stairs, around, and then down here, and that took 21 seconds. Now, I think she could have done it quicker than that. I think 15 to 20. Even, I mean, if she really hauled it, she could probably do it in between 13 to 20 seconds. All right, she'd already be back, and then Travis would be standing at the sink right here, looking at himself in the mirror, coughing up blood. Then, so picture him kind of looking at himself, just totally in a daze, and then she realizes Jodi's running back, and then she starts attacking him right here. All right, then he's trying to defend himself, tries to get out, then he's on the ground, eventually crawling, and then she gets on top of him, and then she cuts his throat right in this area. Then she drags him back, and then stuffs him into the shower. I mean, this is a really big program online, so sometimes it'll jerk and move forward and so forth. But, you know, just keep in mind, if you move slowly, it works a little bit better. I think you can actually jump up onto that bathtub right there. Yep. Yeah. And also, if you go out here, make sure you don't go into the brown area, or you'll have to reload the program. Because as soon as you go out there, you fall into oblivion. You can actually look up at the building and then it disappears. I'll do that at the end, just as I'm exiting the video. All right, so I hope you guys start sharing my videos. I've noticed a pretty big drop-off, and it's hard to keep making videos and taking the time to do it when, you know, only 600 people watch it. So, you know, keep this in mind. People that monetize their videos, you get like $1 per 1,000 views, which is really not much at all. Okay, so so far I've made about 55 cents on this video. Or the last one I made, I mean. So if you guys could please share it and get more people to subscribe, that would be great. I'd like to keep making videos. I think I have some good tools to make quality videos that other people aren't able to make. You know, everyone can learn these skills, by the way. You know, the thing is when you get home from work, get on YouTube and start doing tutorials, like to learn different skills, and you'll be amazed at what's on YouTube in the educational realm. All right. Okay, so here we go. At the end, I'm just going to run off the screen and look back up at the building, and after that, I guess the video's over. So let's see. Here we go. I'm going to back off the building. Oh, it looks like I got stuck somehow. Somehow I got stuck on the edge of it. Well, anyways, that's it for this video, but have fun. I'm going to put the link in the description. You can walk around. Oh, it looks like I finally fell off. Okay, there you go. And until next time, I will talk to you later.
That one's not too bad. Yeah, I like that one. A 5-year-old could hold it better than that. You're an idiot. Ugh. Ugh. Come here! Effing kill you, bitch.
That one's not too bad. Yeah, I like that one. A 5-year-old could hold it better than that. You're an idiot.
That one's not too bad. Yeah, I like that one. A 5-year-old could hold it better than that. You're an idiot. Ugh. Ugh. Come here! Effing kill you, bitch. That one's not too bad. Yeah, I like that one. A 5-year-old could hold it better than that. You're an idiot. Effing kill you, bitch.
It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world